SpaceX, under Elon Musk's guidance, is creating a massive rocket factory along the Texas coastline. This marks the inaugural venture of mass-producing orbital rockets on a production line, mirroring the strategy Tesla employed with its electric car gigafactories. The outcome? A vast armada of Starship vessels destined for lunar missions and beyond. This facility represents the dawn of a new chapter for SpaceX, which, after 4 years of intense development, testing, and setbacks, is transitioning the Starship rocket into a fully functional Super Heavy launch vehicle. This particular development in a Starship's capabilities also necessitates a refinement in the manufacturing and deployment processes of these rockets. So let's talk about the real reason why SpaceX is building a star factory. When SpaceX arrived at Boca Chica Village 10 years ago, it was empty, with only sand, water, a few patches of grass, and a row of bungalows from the middle of the 20th century. These were the only buildings left over from a failed attempt to build a town in the 1960s that had been forgotten. Google images from 2011 show how a once empty area was turned into a site of the world's biggest rocket launch tower. At first, SpaceX didn't have many sources at this site, which was clear from the way the first Starship prototypes were put together. They were very basic structures that barely looked like rockets. SpaceX has always been strong-willed, though they try things, fail, and get better. Over time, the makeshift tents turned into a more stable structure that keeps the rockets safe from the weather. The creation of low, mid, and high bays made it easier to put rockets together vertically, which greatly improved the quality of production. The rockets changed over time from rough, tank-like structures to sleek, silo-shaped ships, and finally to rockets that could soar into the sky, though when they came back to Earth, they often blew up in spectacular ways. From 2020 to 2021, these explosive tests were a big part of Starbase's growth. But since last year, a lot has changed, as you will see. The fact that the Starships now burn up in the air instead of on the ground shows how hard SpaceX works to make progress. SpaceX's work to change the way rockets are built is truly only half the story. The changes at the production site, which is where all the magic happens, have been just as amazing. But let's talk about Astron Space, a company that isn't as well known but is still very important in the space industry. You may have not heard of this company, but in just 2 years, it has sold more than $1 billion worth of satellite services. Astron has a big goal: to close the digital divide by sending small but powerful satellites into geostatic orbit to rural and remote areas to provide cheap internet access. Some of the world's best investors have put their money into it, and it has now raised more than $400 million to lead the way in the next generation of communication technology. Now picture yourself being a part of this historic journey. People who want to invest in space exploration companies like Astron Space can't do so through the stock market anyway. In the past, only wealthy insiders like venture capitalists and private equity groups were able to stake their claim. The scenery is changing though. Link 2 is a platform that makes investing in the future of space exploration easier for regular people by connecting them with companies like Axiom Space, Astron, and Quantum Space. Link 2 is breaking down barriers with over 600,000 users, letting you invest early in these new businesses. As a loyal viewer, you also get a special offer, a $500 discount on your first investment that you can get by entering a code that is shown on your screen. Follow the link to make sure you don't miss this limited time offer. In late January 2024, we saw an important event. The last of Starbase's 3 main production tents was taken down. This marked the end of an era we had talked about before. As quickly as these tents were taken down, the Star Factory appeared. SpaceX is making quick progress on building a permanent building on this site that will be used to make a lot of Starships. Remember that this place is very important for SpaceX's grand strategy to colonize Mars. they require numerous starships. In 2022, SpaceX's president, Gwen Shotwell, expressed her ambition to construct a new Starship upper stage daily. By 2023, she anticipated SpaceX could launch a fleet of starships, aiming for dozens, if not hundreds, of launches each day. Achieving such groundbreaking goals necessitates mastering the mass production of orbital rockets, a feat never accomplished before. The closest comparison might be the Soviet Union's production of about 60 Soyuz rockets annually in the mid-1970s. Meanwhile, NASA faces challenges producing a single Space Launch System rocket per year at an astonishing cost of $4 billion. This task is daunting, raising the question, how will SpaceX manage this monumental task from a single factory in the remote Texas desert? To grasp the future operations within a Starship factory, we can examine SpaceX's current construction practices at Starbase. Over time, SpaceX has built several vertical assembly buildings, starting with the low bay, then the mid bay, and the high bay, and recently expanding to the mega bay. The early low bay and mid bays have been cleared to accommodate the Star Factory's construction, while a second bay has just been completed. This mega bay represents the next phase of Starship's construction, with one building designated for assembling orbital ship stages and another for the Super Heavy boosters. These facilities allow for the assembly of rocket stages through the stacking and welding of prefabricated ring sections. Elon Musk has stated that the increasing width of these buildings is intentional, providing more workstations within each bay. This setup enables the simultaneous assembly of more ships and boosters. A striking wide-angle photo shared by SpaceX showcases 3 full-size boosters on engine installation stands, with 2 additional boosters in partial assembly awaiting their turn. Thus, each mega bay can accommodate 5 rockets, with up to 3 being actively worked on at once. These towering structures serve as general assembly areas, while the more detailed manufacturing processes occur on the lower sections. Initially, SpaceX's Starbase operations were housed in 3 extensive tents, serving as the primary production lines. But these tents have now been replaced by the permanent factory structure, marking a significant expansion. While manufacturing rockets in tents might seem unconventional, this approach mirrors Tesla's strategy during the early production of the Model 3 and Model Y, adapting to the available space rather than confining to traditional factory setups. At the heart of SpaceX's grand vision to colonize Mars lies the critical need for a fleet of starships, countless of them in fact. Interestingly, in 2022, SpaceX's president, Gwen Shotwell, expressed the ambitious goal of producing a new upper stage for the Starship daily. By 2023, the vision expanded to launching a multitude of starships daily, aiming for dozens, if not hundreds. To achieve these groundbreaking goals, the team at Starbase faces the monumental challenge of pioneering the mass production of orbital rockets, a feat never accomplished before. Historically, the closest comparison would be the Soviet Union's production of approximately 60 Soyuz rockets annually in the mid-1970s. In stark contrast, NASA struggles to complete a single Space Launch System rocket annually at an astounding cost of $4 billion. To understand the potential within a Starship factory, one can look at SpaceX's current construction methods. SpaceX has gradually erected a series of vertical assembly buildings at Starbase, including the low bay, mid bay, high bay, and the recent expansion to the mega bay. The low and mid bays have been dismantled to accommodate the new Star Factory, while a second mega bay has just been completed. The mega bays represent the future of Starship construction, with one dedicated to orbital ship stages and another to super heavy boosters. These facilities allow for the assembly of rocket stages by stacking pre-made ring sections and welding them together. Elon Musk explains the expansion of these buildings over time was to increase the number of workstations enabling the simultaneous assembly of more ships and boosters. These towering buildings serve as general assembly areas, while the intricate manufacturing processes occur in the lower sections. Initially, SpaceX technicians operated out of 3 long tents, which serve as the primary production lines. These tents have since been replaced as the permanent factory structure continues to expand. The approach of manufacturing rockets in tents may seem unconventional, but it closely mirrors Tesla's initial strategy for producing the Model 3 and Model Y. Tesla began by setting up giant tents in a parking lot to explore new manufacturing techniques, including the introduction of the GigaPress casting machine, the world's largest die casting machine, too large to fit into an existing factory. This step allowed Tesla to refine its manufacturing process before designing new gigafactories around the GigaPress. The manufacturing journey at SpaceX starts with the receipt of raw materials, including giant rolls of 304L stainless steel, which are cut, formed into rings, and welded to create the ship and booster's straight sides. Curved components like the nose cone and the interior domes of full tanks are made from stamped and stretch-formed stainless steel panels welded together. The 3 original tents symbolize parallel manufacturing streams of Starship components, top, middle, and bottom sections, all crafted simultaneously. One tent focused on the Raptor engines for the lower thrust section, another on the ring sections and the dome for the body and fuel tanks, and a third on producing nose cones. This segmented approach enables simultaneous manufacturing of key ship and booster segments, which are then assembled in the Mega Bay for final assembly, including the addition of engines, wings, grid fins, and actuators. From what can be gathered, SpaceX seems to be maintaining its foundational manufacturing processes within the confines of the new Star factory. But this is speculative, as the solid walls of the facility offer a degree of privacy not previously experienced at Starbase. The openness of the tents once allowed onlookers and photographers to easily observe the ring stacking process. Regrettably, that period has concluded. The current structure of the Star Factory is evolving from an L shape to more of a U shape, with new construction expanding along the highway's edge. The factory's footprint is anticipated to measure approximately 800 feet, both in length and width, under a towering 60-foot-high roof. This unified production area significantly increases the workspace, offering 2 to 3 times more covered area than the original 3 tents and considerably more vertical space. The ultimate layout of the Star Factory is expected to be square, providing roughly 5 times the total production space compared to the initial setup with the 3 tents. With the foundation rapidly progressing, SpaceX is on track to achieve its goal of producing a Starship daily. Of course, this huge increase in production capacity is necessary for SpaceX to fulfill Elon Musk's ambitious vision. Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments below, and click that subscribe button if you appreciate our content.